Welcome back. This is episode 232 of the Veterinary Business video show. In this episode we'll learn how to find out whether or not we might be the problem, and we'll hear about an initiative in Australia to find the vets for the future. We'll see how best to engage with veterinary clients, we'll hear about the importance of effective data management, and I'll offer you my quick business tip for this episode. I'm John Sheridan and this is the video show from Veterinary Business. Many years ago I was approached by a practice owner who asked for some help in trying to resolve some conflict issues between his staff members, issues severe enough to have a major negative impact on practice performance. I visited all the practice premises and it didn't take long to discover an almost toxic atmosphere amongst and between some individual team members, and particularly between the nursing team and the reception staff. There could of course have been a number of underlying issues, but in this case it soon became clear that the problem was the boss, the practice owner, the person who called me in to help. He seemed to regard every problem as an impossible challenge. He was poorly motivated, quick to complain, pessimistic and demoralizing. Successful practices are happy practices, so it wasn't surprising that this practice at that time was close to failing. So if your practice team isn't performing as well as it might, and if you're the team leader, the question is, how do you know whether or not you might be the problem? Here's a clip from Dave Nichol with some suggestions.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Freewheeling. I'm Dr. Dave Nichol and this is a show where we answer your veterinary business or life questions. Now, a question from today actually came from one of my sessions. I'm here at the Fetch DVM 360 conference. You're going to pan it round and shows it. We're right in the exhibit hall here right now. And it's kind of cool, kind of funky. And in the session last night, I was asked a question, which I thought was a brilliant question, a good one to share with you guys. How do you know if you're the problem as the leader? You know, and a lot of times in my sessions, it winds up being about bashing the staff, which is kind of ironic since everything flows from you as the leader. Okay, so I thought that was a super insightful question. So how do you answer that? And so this comes down to self-awareness, and I think that's the first thing, the hardest thing. And this was the piece of advice I gave, right? You know, if you have one person who is causing problems in your team, like there's one source of the stress and it's one of your team members, then it's probably a reasonable assumption that it's that person that's the cause of the issues and you should deal with that person. If you have multiple issues occurring in your team, so it might be the form of absenteeism, it might be the form of people leaving, you know, you're having to recruit, there's a revolving door. If you feel a little awkward that you're posting job ads too frequently, and that's happening over and over, and you're starting to ask yourself questions like, why do these people not hang around? Or why do they not want to show up to work? Or, you know, I wish I could just find people these days who would work hard. Then I would have this sneaking, nagging concern in the back of my mind that it might not be the people. And say, if you start a day and it seems like everyone else is being an asshole, it's probably not everyone else. Like, you ever have days like that? Like, I used to have them all the time. Well, not all the time, but enough times you'd recognize the pattern. You go, you know, if you have one client who's been a bit snarky, that's one thing. If you have 3 or 4 and you're getting to the point of thinking, actually, probably it's me that's the issue. I think the exact same thing is true when you're managing, you're leading people. So that would be the first thing. How do you know? Just look around you, okay? Now, that takes you to be self-aware, and it's also, you have to push through the fear factor that now I've got a problem, how do I fix it? You might not be conscious or aware of the skills and the training and things like that you need to order to fix it. It doesn't matter. The first step to getting better is just being aware of where you are now. So if you know where you are now and you know where you've got to be, your journey is clear. Like, there's a clear path point. You can just walk along there and you can go find resources, upskill, learn how to do that particular part of your job better, right? If you don't know where you are now, then it really doesn't matter where you want to get to. If you don't get a start point, it doesn't matter where you want to go to. And I think that is self-awareness, okay? So you've got to face down your fear. How do you collect more feedback, more information? Well, I think I would ask your team, but do this carefully. Like, if you're not a great leader and you make it open season to give you feedback, then that's going to be pretty punishing feedback, okay? So I would have, one or two or three people who you have a good relationship with, or a better relationship than anybody else with, and use them as confidants. Okay, ask them honestly for feedback. No consequence. Just tell it to me honest and straight, and then listen and look for the common threads, the red threads that run through their feedback. That's likely to be the truth. Okay, so I think if you look around and you see a team, you're struggling managing a team, and there's multiple issues going on, certainly be thinking, could this be me? It might not be, okay, it's not always going to be you, but it might be you in a variety of different guises as well. And it might not be that you're a terrible leader, it might just be you suck at recruitment. You've built by accident a recruitment policy that brings in bad people and you just don't even know why. So there's multiple reasons why you might be having a struggle, having a challenge. The point is just to be self-aware enough to look yourself in the mirror and ask, am I the problem? And look for an honest answer to it.
Now let's see who's on the video show Soapbox. Let's switch our thoughts now from grumpy bosses to enthusiastic, high-energy potential members of the veterinary profession. Here's a happy clip from Vet Talk TV in Australia featuring high school students at the 2018 Future Vet Kids Camp who spent the day at the Animal Referral Hospital to learn how they could become vets and care for animals.
Do you remember being asked as a young kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? The most common answers were usually something to do with wearing a uniform, like a fireman or a police officer. These days, though, many kids aspire to be veterinarians. And yep, a uniform of sorts is all part of the job.
So let's step through into surgery so you can see it says doc here, so not everyone in the hospital is allowed in here.
But while playing surgery dress-ups was a lot of fun, seeing how some of the equipment works was obviously an eye-opener for some of these young visitors.
Hi, welcome to the ARH. I'm Yasmina. I'm the imaging manager in this hospital and also a surgery nurse. So I get my hands on a bit of everything in the hospital, which keeps it quite exciting and adventurous. So this is a 64 slice cardiac CT, so it's really fine, it's really quick. It's the same equipment that human hospitals use.
I think it was very advanced. I wasn't expecting this much technology to be involved, and I don't know, I feel like the staff are very closely connected with each other, and I think that's best about the relationship.
So what I've done today, I've got a little pineapple friend in there, so he's not been feeling well, and I did a CT of it, so I can show you.
We'll come back to see how Yasmina's pineapple patient's going shortly.
What it's going to do is it's going to tell you what your heart rate is and what your oxygen saturation is.
Meantime, emergencies can and do happen at any time here at ARH, but today some of our team were able to spend a little more time explaining and demonstrating some of the basics of animal care, plus the tools of the
Your
trade.
oxygen, it'll go up. If I'm standing here at room air, it'll normally sit about 97, 98, 99. There we go. So, 693. So your heart rate is 90.
Whew, thankfully everyone seems to have a pulse. Now for some blood tests.
Look at that, that's plain blood that I've just taken out of a dog about 10 minutes ago, so it's just normal blood as it'll see if you cut yourself, it just comes straight out like that. After putting in the centrifuge, it looked like that, so it separated it, so we've got plasma on the top and the red blood cells have settled to the bottom.
And while today wasn't the busiest day ever, we certainly did have one or two cases needing plenty of attention, like Mipsy the cat, who thankfully recovered from a nasty paralysis tick bite.
She's at a point where she requires oxygen, but she doesn't require having to have assistance in breathing yet. Okay, so we can put her in here, keep her quiet, and hopefully that's enough for her. Other animals you'll actually need to assist breathing, and that's when we'll put them on the ventilator, and they'll actually be on a table like right here with a nurse on them and ventilating them just to get them through that paralysis. Okay.
So how's that pineapple going, Yasmina?
You can appreciate the chambers from the pineapple just like when you would slice the pineapple at home. Does it look that way? Yeah. Looks quite similar. Now you can make a 3D reconstruction of your patient as well. If you're interested in soft tissue, you can have it viewing it this way.
With so many young kids interested in seeing what goes on in a large vet hospital like ARH, the Future Vet Kids Camp tours were done over 2 days by 2 different groups. So what did they think about it?
I love like the gruesome side of things. Like I'm not like that like scared of like blood. Like I like the practical surgery and stuff. Like I find that interesting. And
best and worst part of what you've seen so far?
Best is like getting the experience and like seeing all the animals. And the worst is probably like seeing them like struggling in pain and like witnessing all the hardship that they're going through. But like with such like a caring environment with the staff, like helping the animals along the way, and like learning and witnessing how it's been done.
And the future?
I think after all this, I'd still love to be a vet.
Yeah, still really wanting to take, and there are so many different options as well, like there's vet nurses here and you can do specialists and all that stuff, so it's good to know your options.
It's clear everyone enjoyed their tour of the Animal Referral Hospital, and we're quietly confident we're going to see some of them down the track.
Now for a tip from the top in the business world of veterinary practice. We talk a lot about the importance of offering value to our clients. So we say price isn't the issue, it's value for money. And what creates value is the whole client experience. It's all about being heard, getting answers to questions, having problems resolved, and feeling a connection to the practice brand. Here's a clip from Caroline Shaddle, owner of Interpersonal Communication Services, who explains how best to engage with veterinary clients.
How to engage with clients. I think it comes down to appreciating who they are, who their animal is, who their friend is that they're bringing, and including both of them in the greeting, and being understanding of how bonded they are to their pet or to their animal, and how much they want to bring that bond, the two of them together, into the veterinary clinic. So the first thing the receptionist or whoever is going to be greeting them can do is to call them both by name and welcome them and give them an invitation to either wait in the waiting room if they've already got an appointment, or ask them how they can be helped. Make it a very open-ended question so that whoever's coming in, if they have a problem or if they're angry or if they're in a hurry, they can express that, and then that gives the receptionist a chance to really hear where somebody's coming from and try to channel their needs in the right direction.
Now for my quick business tip for this episode. My quick business tip for this episode was triggered by a video clip from Tracy Dowdy, who recommends that accurate data management is critical to your practice success.
What is your most valuable asset in your practice? Is it your staff, your equipment, your facility? While I know you will agree with me these assets are important, I contend that in the grand scheme of things, none of these are worth nearly as much as the information stored in your practice management and accounting software. Just think about it for a moment. Your practice's ability to drive revenue and profits largely stems from your data and your ability to retrieve and analyze your data. Accurate data management is critical to a business as it measures the performance of the practice. It helps owners and managers manage the practice in a succinct way. Your data helps you to spot trends during times of growth and decline. It shows your practice's profit and loss, and it will assist you with identifying doctor revenue, practice efficiency, and help practice managers and owners gain valuable information to make informed decisions. At the end of the day, accurate data helps determine the value of your practice.
So what's my quick business tip? Well, it's this. I'm a numbers man. I believe that if it can be measured, it can be managed. The practical problem for busy managers is to identify which specific indicators have the biggest impact on their own practice performance and how best and how often they need to be tracked. So take another look at Tracy's advice and try and work out which measures are most significant for your practice. Well, that's about it for now. I'm John Sheridan, and this has been another video show from Veterinary Business. See you next time.